And welcome back to another edition of Blowout Splits, another solo edition where I get to hit questions for 2 hours, hour and a half, depending on how much you guys want to fill it up. I know it's a little bit off. Game happens on Sunday. Talk about it on Friday, but my schedule permitting, that's what my schedule permits. So appreciate the people who are here Friday night. On a jet stream, maybe crack a beer, make it feel like a lively Friday night. Do want to welcome two new people to the Jets X Factor YouTube, Uncommon IT and Tom. I'm going to call him Tom because I don't know. Tom Sessi 4243. So I appreciate you guys. $3 a month to get the full reviews. If you wanted to subject yourself to just watching me destroy the Jets for an hour and a half, however long those reviews are, but appreciate it nonetheless. Appreciate people still being here. The people who are still here are the absolute diehards. So no doubt I appreciate you. Run through the chat, talk about the game. Upcoming game against the Broncos. Let me know, guys, by the way. I took off this little thing. I don't know how much it really even does. If my audio sounds that much worse than what it usually does, just let me know and I'll put it back on. But I don't feel like it put in front of my face anymore. I'm done. Thank Tom Sessi for the membership. Tom Sessi. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Eagle. I appreciate you. Gang Green 44, what is up? Hope everybody's having a good time. Sorry to the Yankees fans. Team was eliminated. Can't say I was rooting for the Yankees as a Mets fan. I think I would be a fraud if I did that. But nonetheless, because it's you guys, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry, but I'm sorry if you feel what I'm saying. At least you guys have the Knicks to look forward to. The Knicks fans out there. I'm a Nets fan. They're going to win 16, 17, 18 games this year. So that's not going to be fun. So we'll see. The Devils are the only thing that's good for me right now. They'll be probably a top 5 seed in the East. So we'll see. They'll get blown out in the playoffs though because they're not physical. But here we are. Let's hit the chat a little bit. I'm as low and hopeless as ever I can be. I feel like the one thing was hopeful for the O-line is going to start to crumble next. I hope Joe's film shows something bright. Yeah, I think the reason that people are the least hopeful right now is because, like, at least in 2020, they had the light at the end of the tunnel. You knew they were firing Gates 2-14 season, or it didn't go to 17 at that point, right? 2-14 season. You knew they were firing him. You knew that you had a shot at Trevor Lawrence. You're rooting for losses at that point. Even if not him, okay, you have Zach Wilson, you have Justin Fields, like there was something. And that team was much less talented than this team. So for this team to be just as bad, if not even worse in some instances, is very disheartening because, you don't know if you have the coach moving forward. You don't know if you're going to fire him. You don't know really who's available in the draft. Like there is no Trevor Lawrence, at least from what I've seen in this draft. I'll watch the guys, I'll watch Mendoza and all these other guys. I don't have an opinion on them right now because I haven't watched them and I'm not going to be disingenuous. So I'll watch them. I'm planning on January, February. I had an itch to kind of watch them the other day. I'm trying to push it off because I really don't want to. But we'll see. I'll have an opinion on the quarterback shortly. But like in that 2020 season, again, like that team was not talented at all. And I'm not saying this team is a playoff team or anything like that, but they have all pros. They have pro ballers. They have a good offensive line. Struggled last week, but it's been very good in the run game. And you obviously have a few pieces there moving forward. You have Q, you have Sauce, you have Quincy, even though he's injured. You just paid Sherwood a bunch of money. You just paid Michael Carter II a bunch of money. You just paid Andre Cisco not correctly. I called that from the jump that Cisco was not going to be worth that $10 million contract. And he's disappointing. So like that team in 2020 was just like the try-hard Jets, whatever. And we knew they were going to suck. But this team, we expected more. I don't think many people thought playoffs, but I think most people were kind of in that 6, 7, 8 win range. And let's be real here, they've gotten blown out in 4 or 5 games. Like lose me with the one score shit. Really, like for real, one, you don't show up against Buffalo, your week 2 opponent, you get absolutely blown out. Should have been 50-3. Week 3 against the Bucks, they take the foot off the gas and stop blitzing us, allow us to get back in the game in a miracle, play by Will McDonald to really get us back in the game. But it wasn't really a game. Miami Dolphins, you're getting beat by 2 touchdowns most of that game. And then this Cowboys game, was it 30-3 going to the fourth quarter? Abysmal showing. And again, like I'll emphasize it that Glenn said this is a team that you can at least be proud of. At first it was, hey, proud of is like at least compete in this game, win some games. And then we even lowered the bar to, hey, at least show some effort, at the bare minimum. And you have guys loafing at 3-3, Jamie and Sherwood making $15 million a year, blowing an assignment on that play. He's supposed to be in the curl to flat, and he follows the fullback, and he's in the middle of the field instead of being 10 yards to his left. And then he loafs it because I don't know if he blew a coverage. He's like, oh, crap, it's my fault, but at least show some effort. So that was abysmal. Sherwood individually lit up, and the 66-yard play by Javonte Williams was quite a few guys in that play, but over pursued the hell out of that one. Got lost in traffic, let up a 66-yard run touchdown the next play. Responsible for that amongst other, but he was the main culprit of that play. The Javonte Williams touchdown where he went to the flat to the right he was in man coverage, Sherwood, and he got out of position. And, Javonte Williams had 10 yards of separation on Sherwood. And then he blew another coverage for a touchdown in that game as well. So you're talking about, 2-3 touchdowns associated with one individual. And again, there's other guys who could have made up for it. We're not at that point yet, but Sherwood has been embarrassing. He's been the worst player on defense relative to expectations. And realistically, he's playing like a guy who deserves to be a linebacker 4 or 5. Like I'm not trying to be, I'm not trying to be like crazy for clicks. I don't know. There's a better way to say that. But I'm being legit. Like he's playing like he's not even a starting level linebacker at this point. He's paid him $15 million a year. So on top of playing like absolute garbage because his eyes have been garbage, he's not getting effort now. So that's disheartening. At the minimum, you expect the effort from a team who's 0-4, and to see some guys loafing it in week 5 of the season it's an all-time low. It really is. At least for me. Like, again, I've been doing this for 10 years. I've obviously been a Jets fan for longer, diehard Jets fan for longer, but this is the most disheartening year I could remember. Because even when Rodgers tore his Achilles, the aftermath of that was probably the lowest I've been, especially going to Dallas, flying there by myself, and my friends met up with me the next day. It was pretty low. But at least there was the hope of, okay, at least next year they can build up the roster. Rodgers comes back. But in terms of future outlook for this team, I can't remember it being lower. So yeah, it's brutal right now, Eagle. Marvin Guns, who was the brain surgeon who picked AG as a head coach. And again, like he had a resume. I don't think Aaron Glenn was a guy who was just hired because he was a Jet. Lose me on that. I think that there would have been other teams who were at least interested, maybe not hired him, but there were at least other teams interested. He had the resume with Peyton, with Campbell. I think he had a little bit of ties with Belichick. And obviously the biggest with Parcells, started as a scout. Defense with the Lions, created turnovers, things like that. So I don't think he had the worst resume in the world. Not the best either, obviously. But it is funny when you think about it, Marvin. Like the guy who picked our head coach and our GM was the guy the Jets fired a decade and a half ago. Like just only Jets things. Like, hey, let's hire the guy we fired to then pick our new guy. It's like, you want to just hire Mike Tannenbaum back? Like I don't think it makes a ton of sense. Now, obviously, Woody's trying, hiring these guys. Who was it last time? It wasn't with Gase, but I think it was with Bowles and McCagnon. Wasn't it like Ron Wolf and who was the other dude? I think it was like Ron Wolf and whoever. So he's trying to pick the right people, but my God, it has not worked out so far. Now it's 5 games. I'm not saying fire him. I don't think anybody's really saying fire him who has, their collective mind together. That makes sense. I don't know. But if he goes 1-16, 2-15, is this the guy we trust to build around a quarterback? It's a conversation we'll be having, or hopefully we're not having, but it seems likely we're going to have a serious conversation about it in January. I can say straight up right now, like gun to my head, we finished the season 1-16. You fire him. 2-15, probably fire him. 3 wins, okay. Discussion. 4 wins, discussion. 4 wins, you probably keep him around depending on how the rest of the games look. But if they look this bad, and they're at this point in the season, I think at this current pace, the defense is going to allow the most points it ever has in franchise history. There's another few stats that I don't need to look at my phone. It's whatever. I know the stats come off the top of my head now. The offense, the offense is producing, Fields is producing 7 touchdowns, all this stuff. understand that the Jets since week 1 are averaging, I think it's like 6.25 points in the first 3 quarters of the games. So weeks 2, 3, 4, 5, they average slightly over 6 points in the first 3 quarters, and the quarterbacks have like collectively 90 yards of passing in the first 3 quarters. So then they get the rest of the 2 touchdowns, 100 yards of passing in 1 quarter because people are calling off the dogs. So they are the garbage time kings right now, and it's making the people who don't really watch the games or understand football like screenshot and whatever. Oh, Justin Fields stats and stuff, but Fields, while not the main problem with the team, has not been the solution either. And there's more problems obviously in the defense. Offense stop fumbling the ball, and procedural penalties and all that stuff is obviously hurting them. They're not good enough to overcome 6 pre-snap penalties against the Dolphins. They haven't been the main problem. They got to finish in the red zone better. You can't keep getting to the red zone and kicking field goals. We know that. That's been a tendency for the Jets over many years, is get to the red zone and kicking field goals. But my God, that defense is the worst defense I've ever seen, ever. Even with much less talent, I've never seen a defense as bad as this. Week 1, they give up 3 legit. And again, if you lose because of talent, if you lose because, hey, whoever, Pickens is better than Stevens on a play, okay, fine. But when you just blow coverages and guys are wide open, nobody within a 10-yard radius of them for a touchdown, it's hard to watch. Again, 3 blown coverages in this game for a touchdown. 3 touchdowns in week 1 against the Steelers for touchdowns. So it has been brutal, man. This is really, really, it's really, really bad. So I don't understand the people making excuses for it. What'd you expect? I didn't expect them to be 3-2. I didn't expect them to be 2-3 necessarily. Maybe 2-3, 1-4, something like that. I expected them to compete though. Like if you're okay with this, I think you have a problem. It's embarrassing. By the end of the first half of the game is seemingly over in all these games, So yeah, you can't say you expected this. Record wise, yeah. Could I have seen 0-5 in a world with them competing and whatever and be like, okay, yeah, at least they're fighting, at least they're in these games. Yeah, sure. But to excuse them, 30-3 against the Cowboys after 3 quarters, like how do you excuse that? This is not the 2020 Jets. This team has more talent. You have Q, you have Sauce, you have some players on this team. So this has been embarrassingly bad. Embarrassing, really, truly. So like you got guys like Baldy now on Twitter who are criticizing the Jets, or I saw a clip of him on some radio show, maybe it was like WFAN, where he's a guy who's paid by the Jets, like he's a Jets shill, and he's criticizing the Jets and Aaron Glenn. That's it gets bad. National people always shit on the Jets, but like they're starting to take notice how bad the defense is and all that stuff. You got announcers comparing us to Middle Tennessee versus Alabama on broadcasts and stuff. Like this is as low as it's been. Really. So the only thing you could point to for Aaron Glenn is, okay, he has the rest of the season to prove it, but there's not one tangible thing you can point to and say, this is the reason that, we should have faith in this guy. There's nothing, literally nothing. There's been no players who have improved. He's already changed his tune in the media, big ships turn slow from, we're here to win now, and all that stuff, and I get coaches aren't going to say we're here to lose now, but he didn't have to necessarily say we're here to win now either. So what has Glenn done? He's a fiery guy and he's an ex-Jet. Past that, there's not one thing I can point to and say, yeah, this is the reason why we're going to turn it around. So yeah, it's hard not to be down right now. No doubt. What did you think about Membu's 4 flags in the game? I know you said one of them should not have been called on what were the other ones? Again, I watch the film and I put out so many plays and I talk about it. I do the shows and all this stuff. So I'll forget some individual plays unless they're a little bit more like obvious. I know the one penalty was complete horseshit, which I could show really quickly. There's really nothing else he could have done on this play, and he gets called for a hold. BS hold. This didn't blow up on Twitter, but it got a little bit of engagement. Watch him on the right side. Like, what else is he supposed to do here? He doesn't hold the guy. Like he catches him well, right hand into the chest, left hand into the hip. I think that's Fowler, number 13. Fowler, last ditch effort, tries to spin it inside because he has perfect hand positioning right now. Perfect. Like left hand on the hip, right hand into the outside chest plate is exactly where you want your hands to be. And Fowler tries to, and I'll play it like frame by frame. Great positioning, great base, working off the insteps. Awesome play for Membu. He tries to spin it inside, and all Membu does is just take him where he's going and throw him on the ground. He didn't hold him at all there, at all. And it's called for a penalty. Like, this is one of the biggest bullshit. And you have JJ who doesn't get called for, or, against the Chiefs a couple of years ago. Like, the bias is wild. So the other 3 penalties, I'll be honest, Eagle, I really don't remember. I don't remember the other ones exactly, but he's had some lumps. He blew that one assignment on the goal line for the one run where Breece Hall got tackled for like -3 yards. So that was his fault. Rookie lumps at times, but he's been obviously a very big bright spot, right? Like, he's been very good at this point, especially for a rookie. So can't really shit on him. Some lumps, no doubt. And I forget the other penalties, to be honest. My plus is Nick Folk, McNamara, Mason Taylor. Briggs has been good. I want a little bit more from Q, but Q has been fine. Stevens the last 3 weeks, and one of the problems with Stevens is like the first game or two is what everyone remember. So he'll be bad to some Jets fans for the rest of the season, even if he plays well, just because the first impression is the biggest thing for Jets fans. But being realistic and watching him back the last 3 weeks, he's been a decent number 2 corner, if not a good number 2 corner the last couple of weeks. Like, can you remember one play in the Bucs Dolphins or this last game against the Cowboys where he truly got like beat on a play? Now, there was plays where guys were running into each other. There was a play where I think Stevens he was in man coverage on Waller, and I think he ran into Maui Noah, where they have to be more aware of the levels they're playing at. And he was beat for a touchdown on that play. But, in terms of like not, and I get you have to blame him for that one as well, and Maui Noah as well. But overall, like, he's been a decent number 2 corner, right? And $12 million a year, like, I think people are kind of like overstate. Like, people kind of say $12 million a year in terms of like the Stevens pay. And it's like, oh my God, like such an overpay, all that stuff. If you're a decent number 2 corner in the NFL, you're getting about $12 million a year. So he's been playing up to his contract the last 3 weeks. That's a positive. Briggs, Q a little bit, but again, I want to see him get more pressure. The problem is with the pressure stats and all this stuff is that the Jets aren't getting sacks. How do you get a sack, one, as Q, when they're rolling everything towards you? You're getting 2 or 3 guys' hands on you a play, and the ball is out immediately. Now, with that being said, do I want to see more flashes from getting there or almost getting there? Yes, I'll be real with that. But defending Q, when the ball is out in half a second because people are running wide open, how do you get pressures? Same thing with McDonald. Like, I saw it over Twitter this week. I think even maybe a little bit on Jake's stream. I was doing his stream, like in the comment section, people are like, oh, McDonald's not getting there at all. Like, nobody even won a rep in the pass rush. But I could show you to the contrary that there's a play where, you have McDonald who destroys the left tackle, but the ball is out so quick that it doesn't matter. Watch him on the right side right here against the left tackle. So people are like, oh, he doesn't win all this stuff. It's the main problem with the defense is the pass coverage, because the line can't get there when the ball is out as quick as it consistently is. Like, oh yeah, Will McDonald didn't win it all that game. Are you absolutely sure he didn't win it all that game? Because I'm seeing something to the contrary on this very play right here. So, and I'm not saying he's been great. But you can't say that he's been terrible. I'm seeing him win, making some more plays in the run game. So I'd say he's a positive. Offensively, yeah, Mason Taylor, the kicker, the punter. Arian Smith's actually creating some separation on some plays, but he's just never targeted. So there's few and far between. No Eagle, no doubt. Jets seem to have finally found a pass catching tight end for once. Yeah, go on my Twitter. Just look up JoRB31 on Twitter, then Taylor. And he had, I don't know what the stats were last week, top of my head, but like 5 catches, 50 yards, something like that. I don't know. 4 or 5 of those 5 or 6 catches, whatever he had, were contested. One throw behind him for the 2-point conversion was a nice catch. One over the middle, was a nice catch on like a jerk snag hook route, whatever exactly it was. There was the play where he threw, actually here, let me go on. I'll go on my Twitter really quickly and just kind of scroll past. It's not to find them individually because they're all kind of in the same section, because most of it was in garbage time from him. But nonetheless, let's see. I'll just go through my Twitter real quick. Let's see where this play is. Oh, it's going to load nice and slow. close out my DMs. All right, let's see. Okay. So we got play 1. He's right here on the left side. Contested. Bang. Right? Watch this play. Watch him right here. Watch the extension for the ball, the body control, the hands. You'll see it from the other angle. Look at the extension on this play from I'll rewind it a little bit. Like, look at the extension from him catching that ball. Like, hell of a catch by him. I know there's another one right. Oh yeah, right here. He's right here running a pivot route. Ball's a little bit behind him, snags it. A catch you should make, but not necessarily given for all tight ends. Like, very good for Mason Taylor. So you love that, no doubt. Drew Crispy, what is up, dude? Jets over Broncos this week. Pure faith. I wonder what your reasoning is for this, because the Broncos, like last year, they blitzed more and they were getting home a ton. This year, they're blitzing less because their rushers are good. So they're dropping more guys into coverage and still getting home at a really impressive rate. So this defense is very good for the most part. And the offense, Bo Nix he's all right. But the problem is you have Sean Payton leading it, and he's going to see everything the Jets are doing wrong in coverage, which is everything. And he's going to destroy them. Again, it's really as simple as play action, crossing routes, you pick routes, things like that. You're going to beat the Jets because they're so undisciplined that any guys crossing across each other, people don't know how to pick it up. So brutal. Drew Crispy, tell us we had a great week of practice. Our opponents better watch out. That's what I put too, because usually the Jets say we had a good week of practice, and every time they say that, we get blown out. This week, they specifically said we had a very good week of practice, which means the Jets, and I said on Twitter, Broncos minus 30 in this game, because if it's good and they get blown out, what happens when it's very good? I don't know. I don't know. It's going to be bad. I'm dropping the house on Bo, 10 rushing, Ingram 15, Taylor 20, Jets plus 19 and a half. Pray for your boy. The funny thing is too, one league I picked up Ingram, however you exactly say it, it's spelled Ingram, but I don't know if it's actually Ingram. I picked him up in one league, and then the other league I had him on my bench, and I started him because the Jets versus tight ends, and just in general, like, my God. So you could easily see like a slider out or him chip and release and pick up an 80-yard touchdown because he's fast, and the Jets can't pick up anything that's, a little bit of misdirection. The Jets they fall apart, So I don't want to do it, but I'm tempted to put in like a parlay with the Jets getting blown out and Ingram and Bo Nix rushing yards, like you said, because they can't contain that, and a few other things. They got shredded last week by, what the hell was that guy's name? I don't even remember his name on the Cowboys anymore, but like some 6th-round pick was on the practice squad who came up because of injuries, and he shredded the Jets for like 100 yards. I forget his name. He was destroying the Jets because it's not individual. It's not 1 versus 1. It's the defense overall just cannot not blow things. So I just can't bet against our team. Plus 20 has cost me in the past. I'll sadly never learned. Yeah, man. The only thing I had a big parlay in last week, like $20 for like almost like $1,000, and the only thing I missed was it was the biggest of them. But an Isaiah Davis touchdown would have been nice. The only hope from Eagle, if you want to call it, is the Broncos just got their biggest win of the season. The thing about that is that you have to consider like who their coach is. Sean Payton's one of the better coaches in the NFL and has been for decades now. I don't know if he'll allow them to overlook the Jets in terms of like a trap game. And past that, the Eagles just lost to the Giants. Like it's just crazy because like you look at the Jaguars, I think they have a similarly talented team as the Jets, maybe a little bit better, maybe a little bit worse, but you can't argue that the Jets are the talent gap is from 4-1 to 0-5, getting blown out in 4 of those games. The Giants, who lost to the Saints, then turn around and beat the Eagles. The Browns, beat the Packers. So like there's parity in the league. Sans the Jets. Like it is so bad. Broncos went, no, you have to give the Jets some. Eagle, you're sorely underrating the garbage time kings of the Jets. They will score a touchdown or 2 in the 4th quarter. Okay, there you go. My bad. Rob D, Joe putting the Jets logo on it. Is it disrespectful? Yeah, dude. So to be honest, like I don't do anything with like the technical side of stuff. I message Nania. He usually just sends me whatever random header or not header, random picture for the stream. And this week I messaged him. I'm like, dude, just put my watermark over a trash can, and that's it. And he did it. He sent it to me like 5 minutes later. I'm like, okay, perfect. We're doing it. So yeah. Shout out to NY Flight Jets Talk. I was just on Connor's channel. We did like a 35-minute stream, so go and check that out. Connor is one of the most probably the most, actually, let me rephrase that, the most well put together 14-year-olds, 13, whatever he is, 14-year-olds I've ever met. Speaks very well, probably even better than me. He formulates his sentences better than I do, I think. So go check him out. It's fun talking. We'll be listening. Appreciate you, Connor. Killing it for Jets X Factor. Woody Johnson is not happy with the Giants getting all of the phrase at 2 wins. Praise. And the Jets are getting buried by everyone in the media, and rightfully so. Yeah, but at least the Giants are competing. At least they got Dart. They got, Scatabo, wherever the hell his name is. Like, they're at least pointed in the right direction. They're competing. They're winning games against division rivals. If that was the Jets against the Eagles, they would probably get blown out for 30-3. So even though, and I've said it in the past, and this is nothing new. I'm not jumping on the train. If you've been watching me for years, you know what it is. I've been saying Jalen Hurts is overrated for years and years and years and years now. If he wasn't on the Eagles with those receivers and that running game and that defense, I think he'd be mid at best. I really think that. So it is what it is. It sucks to see them winning and stuff, being honest, because fuck the Giants, right? But whatever. The Giants can't beat the Eagles, man. Eagles are a Super Bowl team. No way the Giants win that game. That's what we're saying about the Jets versus Broncos. Yeah, but at least the Giants have showed some level of compete. I don't know. Broncos are number 1 in protecting the QB and have a lockdown defense over there that will force Fields to sit in the pocket and throw. Yeah, man, and he's staring guys down, not releasing the ball, taking unnecessary sacks. Now, there's some plays where guys are not open. And again, my biggest gripes with Engstrand are the fact that he needs to be a little bit more creative. Not even creative. More creative on 4th down, short yardage situations. And then also, I like to see him have more hot answers and screens and things like that versus the blitz. But yeah. Oh boy, here we go, Joe. Let's go. What's up, Bill M? We need Joe to vent. We need Joe to vent. This is 2020. This is worse. This is worse. That team had like Bryce Hall at corner, Frank Gore. Was it Frank Gore? Frank Gore taking a lot of reps at running back. Brashad Perryman, Lamar Jackson at corner. That team was severely untalented. This is worse because this team is much more talented. How do you fix the Jets? I don't know, dude. If I had that answer, I would be a millionaire. It might, and unfortunately at this point, if it continues at this pace, it might be firing the coach and resetting. Because the thing is, if you have number 1, number 2 pick, just like Eberflus a year or two ago, you then draft a quarterback, and then Woody and company realizes, this is really bad. You go 3-13, 3-14 next year, and you fire him. You just wasted a year of your rookie quarterback. Now you have to, retool the offense, the new offensive coordinator. You have to retool the defense, the new defensive coordinator. Like, you're losing a year of progression, and then you're taking a rookie quarterback and saying, hey, second year, learn a new system. So if you don't have faith in him moving forward, you can't give him the 1st overall pick and say, well, hopefully it works out. If you're not confident in it, I'm sorry. It's not what I want to happen. But if we play like this for the rest of the season, I don't understand how you could say, just give him another year. I'm not there. YouTube back to the at. Yeah, apparently, Bill. That's why there's so many people I don't recognize their names because it's the at and not the actual name, I guess. I don't know. I should be at JoeRB31 on Twitter, and I'm like Joe Blewett 178938, whatever it is. So I don't know. Sounds the same. Yeah, okay, sweet. I don't want this little stupid thing hanging over me all the time. Maybe the Jets play mistake-free football for once and win this game. Mistake-free football, dude. They've been making so many mistakes offensively and defensively. I don't see how it's possible. Now they had a players meeting, which was positive. I like to see that. Give credit to Jermaine Johnson, and he's a leader on this team. He's a guy you want to bring back, as long as he doesn't price himself out, because he's a leader, in my opinion. And he was saying the Jets are too talented to be this bad. You have Q, who's a leader, who said that we're taking accountability, saying we're the worst defense in the league. Garrett Wilson taking accountability. So guys are starting to take accountability, and they got to close themselves in a room and watch the effort from some of these guys. Look at Sherwood and be like, yo, excuse my French here, but dude, what the fuck? Are you serious? Are you serious, Sherwood, with that play? Which I'll just show just in case people didn't watch the all 22 of it. But how do you? I don't understand how you lack effort like that when you're making $15 million a year, And it's not like high school where you might not really even watch the film or know about it, but like they're all going to watch this. Like watch Big Red Arrow. Just watch Sherwood's effort. And on this play, it looks like it's supposed to be a 3 buzz, unless it was like a 3 sky, and he was supposed to be more towards the flat. But nonetheless, he's either supposed to be about here, and if he isn't a curl fly, he's supposed to even be here. But it depends if it's a buzz or a sky. Nonetheless, bites hard on the fullback, is completely out of position. Where if he actually stayed kind of home where he's supposed to be, and based on him dropping, I'm assuming that Sherwood's supposed to be out here, and this is a 3 buzz, and he bites on the fullback. Gets outflanked completely, so you already blow a coverage, and then look at the effort. He starts jogging like now, like almost immediately as he turns around, he's jogging, he's loafing. Little to zero effort on that play, little to zero from Sherwood. That is embarrassing, dude. Like legitimately, he's playing like a linebacker 4 or 5 right now. Like if you turn on Sherwood, had no idea what he was, no idea the contract, anything like that. If you turn on this film this year, like, okay, this is a backup linebacker who's forced to be playing right now. That's what he looks like, a backup level linebacker making $15 million a year, which is probably what I don't know, a top 5 linebacker contract in the NFL. I don't know all the contracts and shit. So yeah. Did you have a good week of practice? I don't have a lot of good weeks now, David. I love my life and stuff, but watching this Jets team, like I enjoy it. And I get emails from people like, hey man, appreciate it. Like don't quit, whatever. Because sometimes it sucks. It really does. Like breaking down the film, going on Jake's show, talking about the Jets, going on my show, talking about the Jets, going on Connor's show and talking about the Jets. Like obviously I appreciate the invite, and it's kind of like, it allows me to decompress. But the problem is like you lose 50% of your viewership like immediately into the season. Like not that that's all that matters, but like it sucks. You know, I think you guys know I work pretty hard, and to drop like 50% of the viewership like immediately sucks. And on top of it, it's not fun to shit on the Jets all the time. Like I want to go and do film reviews. I'm like, oh my God, look at this play, well-designed play, hell of a pass off, banjo coverage on this, awesome. And it's just shitting on the Jets, shitting on the Jets, shitting on the Jets, shitting on the Jets, and then arguing with people about me shitting on the Jets. And be positive. It's like, why? What do I have to be positive about? There's literally nothing. So I'm gonna be honest with what I see, and what I see is absolute trash right now. You know, so yeah, it sucks, but love all you guys. Tyson Matting, whatever happened to the lady that was on Jets X Factor? I don't know if Rivka's been posting a lot of articles, honestly, and I haven't really talked to her recently. Like I used to message her a little bit more. I don't know if something's going on in her life. I know that she used to do streams. And I think a little bit unfairly to her, you had some guys who were like, oh, I don't want to hear a chick talk about football, you know, just being kind of, for lack of a better phrasing of that. And it kind of made her disheartened to do the streams and stuff. So I think if people were a little bit nicer to her, maybe she would do some streams. People are pretty hard on her. I thought unnecessarily. And you guys know I'll call people out, maybe less on my website, but I thought she was good, and people shit on her all the time. So when's the last time she's posted an article? I honestly don't even, I don't see everything that's coming out. I'm so busy all the time that I don't really see, but I'm sure I could figure it out. I don't know. It's been a little bit few and far between, but she'll be back around. Just because you're not favored doesn't mean you can't compete. Sick of people acting, dude. 100% Rob D. Like excusing this play is a joke. It's an absolute joke. It really is. It's again, this team was not supposed to be historically bad. This team was supposed to be 6, 7, 8 wins, compete. Again, we were promised we'll be proud of this team, and this is unacceptable. It really is. So the people who are doing that are just green goggled Jets fans, which, hey, credit to you. I don't know how you keep up the positivity after 15 years, but to excuse this shit is it's bullshit. It really is. It really, really is. I appreciate you, Jan. I won't. I'm here for the long run. I'll be here until I'm fully gray. I'm getting some like popping through and stuff. The hair's receding a little bit. It's happening. But I'll be. This is gonna be my retirement job. Really, like I'm gonna retire at 49 years old, which is in 17 years, and I'll be doing this full time until I'm 60, 70. You know, maybe until I'm living on the coast of Italy, just drinking wine and getting fat every day. Maybe that's when I'll quit. But you got me for at least the minimum 25 years. I'll be here. So I'll be here until I'm old and gray. Okay, let's see. Sorry, I lost my spot because of the super chat. But Jan, I appreciate you. Jan is my guy. Jan's like not only is Jan 6'8", 300 pounds, So he's intimidating in real life, but he also defends me on Twitter. It's funny. Some people were like robbing some of my stuff on Twitter last week, and Jan's tweeting out like, "Yo, you're not going to credit the original guy on this. Like, you're just going to rob his shit and not credit Joe." I was like, love Jan. So Jan, you know you're my guy. Okay, 33rd team. Yeah. Here's our biggest trouble this game. Coaches, Glenn. Yeah, for real. I'm with you. I'm going to say more Peyton versus Wilkes, but in general, yeah. Glenn, and at a certain point, I know the talk has been, well, if Glenn gets rid of Wilkes or demotes him and he takes over play calling, and then he takes over the play calling, that risks him being fired. If he's sitting there and saying, hey, this is the shit is hitting the fan this year, but I'm nervous to call plays because then I make it fired, he doesn't deserve to be the head coach anyway. Because then again, it's 10:45 at night, excuse my French here, but then you're a bitch. Like if you have no confidence in yourself to turn this around, then you're a bitch. I'm sorry. And he has to realize too, like I think part of the problem is his first year with the Lions, the defense struggled initially too, and they started out 0-8, 0-10, whatever the hell it was. And Campbell didn't fire him. That was also the first time Glenn's been a defensive coordinator, right? So you have Wilkes, who's had 5, 6, 7 years of experience as an interim head coach, defensive coordinator. This isn't his first rodeo, and it's sucking this bad. So if that's really his mindset, it's not going to work out. He's done already. The icing's on the cake. If that's his mentality, I can't fix this. I'm nervous. Then because then I'm going to be the the spotlight's going to be on me. Then shame on you. That's why you're here. Or that's how you got here is the defense. So what are we doing? Pat, what up, Joe? Which player or players that would you trade a deadline that makes sense for the future? This is loaded. It really is, because I just talked to Connor about this on his show it's probably like a 15, 20-minute conversation just, about this. And at that point, I'm maybe very behind in the chat. So I know I'm very behind in the chat, and I apologize for that, but I don't like to not answer people and give kind of detailed explanations and stuff. So it is what it is. So you have to stick around for your question to be answered. Quincy, I think somebody you have to consider. Now, when I say all of these players, the thing you have to consider is you also have to consider how it affects the locker room. Because if Quincy's a leader, does it hurt the locker room? If Breece is a leader, how does it affect the locker room? Now, they're already quitting on the team, so does it matter? That's a conversation for a different day. I think they end up getting rid of Breece. I do. I think just in my general feeling of Breece as a person, I think he thinks he's a little bit better than he is. I think he outprices himself. Compound that with the fact that I think the Jets are 2-3 years, or maybe, let's say a year or two at least away from competing, like truly competing. At that point, is Breece going to be the same level of player he is now? That's a question. Breece he's been better this season, no doubt. I think he's been a plus average running back. Plus average. He's been better than average. I don't think he's been elite. For the people who compare him to McCaffrey, McCaffrey, it's like the Panthers getting rid of McCaffrey or the Giants getting rid of Barkley. He's never even sniffed their asses in terms of how good they've been in the NFL. So I think he could be good for another team. But also with that being said, I think Breece and his numbers, it's been much more so the offensive line opening up wide open gaps for him than it's been Breece creating stuff. Because look at Braylon Allen, like the last game he played, he ran for, I don't know exactly the stats, but like 5 or 6 yards per carry. Isaiah Davis comes in and, at points runs for 5 or 6 yards per carry. Now with Breece, he's been more explosive this year. He's breaking more arm tackles. I think his vision's been a little bit better. Still struggles with it at times, but Breece has always been a 2-yard, 60-yard guy. And I think he's lost that explosion. I think he's still explosive, but he's not as explosive as he was. That Cowboys player where he broke through on the right sideline, I think his rookie year, he probably takes that. So you have a guy who is not as explosive as he was. And again, with a offensive line that's this good in the running game specifically, they've been struggling in the pass game, but in the run game, they've been very good. I don't think from Breece to Allen, Davis, or 5th round running back next year or free agent running back next year, you're going to lose a ton. You'll lose a little bit, but it's not something I'm not like willing to pay him a ton because of the difference between him and jag running back. Like you could find running backs are a dime a dozen in today's NFL. So while I think me saying like replaceable kind of constitutes I'm saying like he's an average player, I think he's a little bit hard to replace, but not irreplaceable, if that makes sense. So Breece, Quincy are probably my 1 and 2. Quincy, 29 years old. I just don't want 2 light linebackers who are very volatile. You want one guy who's a little bit more sturdy, a little bit more disciplined. But when you have 2 undisciplined linebackers who shoot their shot consistently, you're going to get gashed in the run game. So I don't love Sherwood and Quincy together right off the jump. And then 2, he's 29 years old, relies on athleticism. So don't love that. So yeah, Quincy, and then anybody past that, like, any, bottom of the roster guys, I'm willing to trade. Sauce, absolutely not. Q, no. Unless you're giving me the stars and the moon for Q, I'm not doing it. Like, he's 27 years old. He could be elite for another 3, 4, 5 years. He's a leader, even though he looks like somebody pissed in his Cheerios the last press conference, because who wouldn't at this point? He's never even sniffed 8. He's sniffed 8 wins, but he's never got above 7 wins since he's been here. So he's depressed at this point. But you build around Q, you build around leaders like JJ, you build around leaders like Garrett Wilson. And JJ's a conversation because it's like, 5th-year option, injured, all that stuff. But as long as he's reasonable with his price and recognizes that he's been injured, he's a guy you want in the locker room because of his mentality. So I'm almost paying JJ more so for his mindset than his actual play. I'm obviously like being dramatic there, but you guys know what I'm saying. Like, he's been a decent player through his NFL career, a effort pass rusher and a good run stuffer. And I think that's a decent player. I think he's a decent D end. But the mind of JJ is great. So Spielman and Tanny. Yeah. No, I'm not talking about the 33rd team. I'm talking about was there a name to like the Ron Wolf and whoever team in like 2015? That was 2015, right? When they hired Bowles and McCagnon. They used Ron Wolf, or was that after or before? I forget, but that's what I'm talking about. I know the 33rd team for Spielman and Tanny. I know that. Who the fuck wanted the job other than him? A fat Rex is all? No, like I get it. Like, the Jets might not be able to attract, if like John Harbaugh, if he's fired, or Jim Harbaugh, any one of these guys. I get that. But you get a shit ton of money as a head coach versus a coordinator, so that's one thing. And if the Jets have talent on the roster, and if you're going to say, hey, you have whatever it is, I think it's like $80 million a year. You have $80 million a year. $80 million in cap space. You have the number 1, number 2, number 3 overall pick. People are going to take it, like Rob D says here, like Brian Flores would have taken the job, but McCarthy's been itching to get back in the NFL. I think people overrate him a little bit, even though he wins in the regular season. He doesn't do anything in the postseason. I think he's underachieved with some Cowboys teams and with some Packers teams in the playoffs, but nonetheless, still, he would make the team decent. Like, there are guys who would take it. Now, maybe they can't attract the A+ candidate, but I think they can attract the A-. Like, they interviewed with Vrabel. Now, that could have been a ploy for Vrabel to say, hey, I'm interested in the Jets. Pat's up your number, like, no doubt. But they can attract people. Like, it wasn't Aaron Glenn and nobody. And the Rex stuff. Let's get over the Rex stuff, please God. Like, if we've seen anything with Aaron Glenn, the motivation or monotone stuff is so fucking overrated. It really is. Coach well, scheme well, be deceptive on offense and defense, and you win games. Look at, again, I said it last week, look at Liam Cohen. Everybody made fun of the press conference, and look how they turned it around. Who cares? Who cares if you're a nerd? Who cares if you're awkward? Who cares if you're monotone like Bill Belichick? Who cares if you're rah-rah like Aaron Glenn? If you win games, players are going to buy in. So let's stop looking into the stupid ancillary bullshit about head coaches. A fat Rex. And I'm not saying like that's ancillary bullshit, Tyson. I'm saying that people are, oh, he can motivate. Who cares? These guys make so much money a year. If they're not motivated already, get rid of them. Like, it's not, what is he going to make them play 1% harder? Like, it's about out scheming guys. And Rex hasn't coached the NFL in 10 years. So absolutely no to Rex. Even the Gruden stuff. When Gruden was good in the early 2000s or whatever it was, he went to the Raiders a few years ago and they absolutely sucked and he got fired. Like, the Gruden stuff too, just gross. The Gruden and Rex talk is just absolutely not. Please God, no to those guys. 2020 team, we're going to have Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson. Yeah, the offensive line, even Quincy Sherwood you paid, and bad evaluations by them, but they paid Sherwood $15 million a year. They gave Cisco $10 million a year. So blame them for that. Like, they have talent and at least capital invested into this defense specifically. And like I said, the offensive line, this team is so much better than the 2020 roster. So it's embarrassing that we're just as bad. I doubt it. He won't put up with this shit organization. Flores would have taken the job. Still got to give AJ the full year no matter what. Yeah, no, I'm with you. You don't fire him in season, you don't. But if we feel the same about the team and the coaching staff as you do now at the end of the season, I don't see how you say, hey, give the guy a first overall pick and let him ruin a rookie quarterback before we then replace him. I don't know. Like Matt says here, it's literally the worst defense I've ever seen in general. And then you compound it with the fact that they have talent and they're this bad. This is beyond bad. Like I don't care about the numbers. This is the worst defense in the NFL. I've never, ever, ever, ever seen more blown coverages or missed assignments in the run game. I've never seen it ever. Like, again, at least if you're, oh my God, whatever, George Pickens just beat Lamar Jackson, like our old Lamar Jackson, or George Pickens just beat Bryce Hall. Okay, it is what it is. But when you see guys running wide open by 10 yards, it's truly inexcusable. That's the third time this year the Jets have gotten beat by that little option route out of the backfield, like Javonte Williams did to us on Sunday. It's the third time I think Tampa did it. Dude, so many, regardless of their routes, crossing routes, flat routes, just, make the 1, the 2, the 3 to the 2, just switch releases with guys, and Jets are cooked, absolutely cooked. Nani put out a good tweet about this, but this is not, knuckleball kickoff. It's not even that. And sure, obviously, I don't really know about this, Rob, to be completely transparent. But can we stop returning kicks in the and it's funny that everybody jumped on that this week, but Nani put it out first, so credit to Nani because it's why everybody's talking about it. But you get the ball at 35. And he put out a podcast this week. Go and listen to it. But I forget how many returns actually make it out past the 35. If you do that, it's like 12% or whatever. So it's like an 88% chance. Like just take it to the 35. Now I understand. Okay, it's the fourth quarter. You're down 2 touchdowns. You're getting a kickoff with 3 minutes left, and you want to take it out because you want to take a chance that maybe you can return it to the house. Understandable. First quarter, second quarter, like why? Why are they ever taking it out? So that's coaching. So like Banjo, yeah, his kicker and his punter are doing well, which he has, I'm sure, pretty much nothing to do with. Folk's been kicking the ball the same way, and McNamara's been kicking the ball the same way. It doesn't really change much. So let's not overlook Banjo because the special teams have been gross. Again, individual performances, Folk, McNamara, fine, but he's not teaching the punter and the kicker much. Let's be real here. They kick a fucking ball. There's little points you can do, like not, extending your plant foot too much. You slip, all this stuff, and overcorrecting and whatever. Like there's little things you can teach a kicker. But Folk was, the most accurate kicker in the NFL the last 2 years. I'm not crediting Banjo. So in terms of smarts, his special teams has been brutal. Sherwood is worse than Stevens is high level. And let's be real here, Eagle. Stevens has been a decent number 2 corner the last 3 weeks. So we can't allow our opinions of Stevens in the offseason in the first 2 weeks to then, extend into weeks 3 through 17, because the last 3 weeks I have no issues with him. None. Yeah, David. Clemens has gotten a lot of hate, rightfully so, but holy hell, like I said, and I've been saying, that has to be we'll give JJ the number 2 DN. He's DN 2, but this has to be and I'm not even just saying this because I'm trying to for shock effect or whatever you want to call it. It is the worst DN 3, 4, 5 group in the NFL. 1 and 2, I think they're fine. 3, 4, and 5, the depth is the worst in the NFL. McGregor's done nothing. Barron, who they traded up for, has done nothing. A tackle or 2 who gives a shit. They have been gross. And again, it's something we called for off season. Defensive end depth, tight end depth. We've been a little bit surprised with Ruckert, but still. And then we all called for Gibson to be cut. Where's Pritchett? Yeah. Rob Day. Joe, we need you. Yeah, I'm not going anywhere. I'll still put out the film. It's just, again, it just sucks to come out and like shit on the Jets, and then I'm getting shit on for shitting on the Jets. Like, what else am I supposed to do? People are like, oh, be positive. Again, these streams would literally be 10 minutes. It'd be a 10-minute stream. I'd bounce. Christian, our pet. Like, again, and I'm repeating points now because I've already talked about it. I don't know when this chat happened or whatever, if you're still here, but it's hard for the pass rush to get there and the ball's out in a second. I'll be that simple. You can't blame Glenn. These players haven't performed under other coaches. I can't. Sherwood didn't perform better under other coaches. Michael Hart II didn't perform better under other coaches. Sauce Gardner wasn't an all-pro under other coaches. Yeah, I can blame both. I think people who say it's one or the other, no doubt, are disingenuous. I do, because you don't know what they're teaching. You don't know how effective their teaching is. You don't know if these coaches are saying, hey, get into the flat, get into the flat, get into the flat, get into the flat, and they get into the hook to curl. And you're like, what the fuck? Or match the two, match the two, match the two. They match the one or the three. And you're like, what are you doing? So we don't know how effective their teaching is. We will never know. So I do think it's disingenuous for people to say, oh, it's 100% the players. Oh, it's 100% the coaches, because it's bullshit. You don't know. With that being said, the defense was never this bad, Billy. Never. And they got more talent on the defensive line than they did last year. You know, Harrison Phillips and Briggs are much better than Lecky Fotu and whoever else last year. So it's not true. The defense was never the worst in the league. Even if we were shitty, the defense, while it would choke in certain situations, they were never close to this bad. It was never this bad, these players. You know, thank goodness JJ's coming back this week. I hope you're show the replay of Clemens being faked out by Dak. You want me to, Eagle? You want me to? I'll just show back to back of him. There's another one late, but like, just watch him. Look how long it takes him to recognize that Dak has the ball. You know, they do a good job. You know, they sift 87 and all this stuff, but look how long it takes them to recognize it. You know, he's been so bad. And for more like nuance in that play, obviously, go back and watch the actual review, because I don't feel like doing it again. And here's another one. Look how long it takes him to recognize the jet sweep. He has no idea what's going on. He realizes now, like, he's outflanked by 5 yards. You know, where's the other one? It's like play 35 or something. Where is it? Clemens, where are you? 27. Clemens lost. I think this is the worst one, maybe. Is this the worst one? Yeah. So, like, he was responsible for the C gap here, and it looks like he had to fill off like the D gap, so he wasn't necessarily responsible for the edge here. But look how long it takes him to react. Like, to recognize that this dude has the ball. He's still looking at Javonte. And was the fake even good? It wasn't even a great fake. Like, it was decent, but not great. He is just so bad. But again, like somebody said before, McGregor and what's his name? Barron may even be worse, which is shocking. My local high school team. Joe, this team needed an experienced coach. Why do we? Yeah, no, I'm with you. I kind of felt the same way, and that's why I wanted Vrabel number one. But then I'll be honest, like, Ben Johnson was probably number two. Even though I don't love the attitude, but you know, yeah. This is an undertaking that, like, you could fail in Jacksonville and it's not as loud. You know, you could fail in Arizona and not be as loud. Like, it takes a special breed, or it's going to take a special breed to turn this Jets team around. And Glenn looks like he's swimming in deep water right now, you know? So yeah, the next one, if there is one, looking like there is going to be now, if it continues this way, needs to be an experienced guy. Was watching him butt fumble his career away by being stabbed, is not with an U, but disheartening. Like, I'm not, you know, was he actually running sprints in an alley? Like, I don't know, but I'm not responsible for that, man. I'm saying, I can say I'm surprised, because he legitimately seems like a good dude, and I have a relatively good character read on people. But again, dude, like, if he's not, if people are fucked up like that, alcohol, it turns your brain off. You know, it really does. If he's doing sprints in an alley at 12 o'clock at night, was he doing some coke too? I don't know. I don't want to assume, but that's not necessarily a drunk thing, doing sprints in an alley at 12 o'clock at night. Maybe that's when he works out. You know, I don't know. Maybe it's his schedule, but yeah, that's bad, man. My buddy has Fields on his fantasy team, and he's trying to tell me how, again, it's fantasy football and people screenshotting the end of the game. Rob, if you actually watch the games, you know what it is. I do the film reviews every week, $3 to check out the entire thing. So I don't highlight them on like the short review. People don't know, but the entire review, I go through I go through like half the plays of the game. And you can see how bad it is. So yeah, again, tell your friend that he averages 90 passing yards in the first 3 quarters over the last 4 weeks. 6 points. 6 points in the first 3 quarters, the last 4 weeks. That's where the Jets are at. So they are the kings of garbage time. And again, like, part of it is the players. Let's be realistic. Like, that's more so the players than Engstrand. Like, the defense, there's procedural stuff, and you think, same thing with the offense at times. But like, you get to the red zone with Brees, fumbles. You get to the red zone with Allen, fumbles. Like, some of it, that's players. Unless they're not emphasizing in practice, okay, hold on to the ball, then longer conversation. But yeah, most casuals think like that, dude. And there are so many Fields truthers out there on Twitter. It's brutal. I don't respond a lot. on Twitter to those people because I'm not wasting 20 minutes of my time, 5 minutes of my time to argue something that's not like, if you're going to bring points, actual points, okay, on this play, I thought he should have done this, then I'll talk to you. But if it's, oh, you suck, he sucks, he's better, like nothing based in actual like points, I'm not arguing. And like I said last week, if you are responding to me on Twitter, I'm not getting back to you. Again, I kind of do this like late at night, and then I scheduled all the tweets, and then I wake up from work and I have however many responses. So I can't respond to everybody. There's just, I don't have time unless I want a divorce, and I don't want that. So the Twitter engagement has been great, so I appreciate everybody. But I put out like 40 plays, and even if each one has 2 responses, I can't respond to 80 people. There's no way. There wasn't much Moogie could have done in the one offseason to turn this team around, but him refusing to address edge tight end. Dwayne Brown with his left tackle in 2022 or 2023, not having tight ends for Zach's rookie year, not having a backup quarterback with experience in Zach's rookie year were all awful. And with that being said, like I agree with you to a certain extent, David, because this free agency class, when you really go back and look at it, like there weren't a ton of guys who I really wanted to end up signing. But, and again, assuming that the Jets didn't contact these guys, because they could have contacted Zadarius Smith and said, hey, want to come play for the Jets? It's like, nah, absolutely not. Like that's possible. So you can't just say, oh, they didn't contact him, because again, being disingenuous, we do not know. So we have to preface it by saying that they should have. If they didn't, then it sucks. But like Jadeveon Clowney is a mercenary. He's a guy who goes to the highest bidder. You didn't bring him in. Tight end depth we bitched about. They didn't really bring anybody worth something. Jelani Woods we still haven't seen. And then we all bitched about receiver too. They didn't really do much of anything there. So that's a problem. And then also some of the guys he signed were a problem. Again, they decided to sign Sherwood. I thought it was an overpay from the jump. Cisco, that was one guy who I'm not gonna say I got killed for on here and on Twitter, but I remember saying to people, I'm like, oh, you're an idiot, he's good. I was like, $10 million a year, he's not so good. He is not so good. Amazing in fantasy leagues. I have been in a few fantasy leagues. I'm gonna back up. I'm in 5 like an idiot. I think I have them like as a backup in like 1 or 2 of them. Because certain leagues, like I'm not going to if I draft Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson, like I really don't care about my backup quarterback so much. But Fields, making into the 16th round as a backup, like I knew they're going to run the ball a lot with him and stuff. So I picked him up in 2 leagues too. Tired of being a laughing stock, yeah, Christian, no doubt, right? We all are. It's embarrassing, dude. I've been in so many games. Like that game was, you could hear a pin drop at certain points. There's probably half and half Cowboys fans, Jets fans. I could say I did a pretty good job of not losing my mind. The only time I lost my mind in that game, if you were by me, I was like probably like 10 or 10 yard line, let's say, in the end zone that the big screen was led up to. And also where Stevens got pushed off and get a penalty, or he got pushed off on, there was no penalty there. The only time I lost my mind was when the Jets stopped a 2-point conversion. They were down 23-3, I think. And there was like whatever the penalty was that allowed them to get closer. The Cowboys went for 2 and the Jets stopped them. And for some reason, when Jets fans cheered about that, I lost my mind. I was screaming for like 2 minutes straight about like, yeah, go Jets. Now we're back in the game. Thank God we stopped the 2-point conversion. I don't know what it was about cheering for that made me lose it, but I lost it. So if you were near me in that sector, like that guy lost it over no reason. That was me. So I was pretty quiet and I was apathetic at that point, but cheering for a 2-point conversion being stopped, really, man, I lost it. I think this defense, defense total yards, 22nd pass, 13th rush, point per game, 31st. And I think Nani put out something on Twitter too. Like if you actually look at the Jets defense, they're actually benefiting from the 3rd quarter or the 4th quarter as well. So like the first 3 quarters, the numbers are actually a lot worse. And then they improve their stats when teams aren't trying to do anything against them in the 4th quarter. So they're actually worse than these numbers. But regardless of the numbers, Eagle, they're the worst defense in the league. They're the worst. The worst. I don't care about the numbers either. They're the worst. See, like, okay, I get it. We suck. Now give me reasons why the Jets are going to win in London. I can't. Based off what I've seen, they're going to get blown out. What am I supposed to do? Lie to you, Billy? I know you're in here every week, but like, what am I supposed? I think you're the one who said it a couple of weeks ago too. Like, oh, be positive. What? Why? I'm not going to lie to you. Why are they going to win in London? If the Broncos severely overlook them and the Jets take their head out of their ass. There's my analysis. Penalties on the players, but if it's happening week after week, that's coaching because there needs to be accountability. Yeah, yeah. Isaiah Williams, he got cut. He's brought back in the practice squad. Like, what did Pritchett do to somebody? Bring Pritchett up. Bring Skinner up. Bring Brandon Smith up. Like, bring some guy. Like, even if they're worse players, as long as they're going to show fight, I'd rather have them on the team. Woody fired Mike Tannenbaum. Yeah, he was the GM with Rex. Yeah, he was a GM with Rex. He got fired 12 years ago, 13 years ago, whatever it was. So yeah, he fired him and then rehired him 12 years ago to then find his new GM and coach. So like, you're firing him because you think he's incompetent, but then you think that same guy who you fired and couldn't be a good GM can now find a good GM. How is a bad GM going to find a good GM? He's going to look for his traits. Like, oh yeah, this guy's a lot like me. I like him. Like, I don't know. This offensive line is pretty good at pass blocking, but as of late, they aren't as good as at the. No, I'm gonna say that's flip that, Matt. They were very good in this game, pass block or run blocking. Now they struggled at times against the Bills, against the Dolphins, and even against the Bucks, because when you're stacking 8 guys in the box and you're blitzing everybody, there's gonna be no run lanes. But this last game, like here, again, I'm not gonna really. I'm not going to break these down again. Breakdowns are there. I don't need to do it, but like go to some of the big games or the big gains in this play and tell me that, the offensive line didn't do good blocking. Like, there were some plays, and I get into the breakdowns about like why Brees did certain things or whatever, but like, let's see this one. Like, that's a pretty big gap, let's see this one. I think this is the one where he reads that linebacker very well here. I'll give this one's on Brees. This is a very good Brees play. So I'll skip that one. Let's see what else we got. I'm sure there's other ones. Hall 22 yards. Let's see the gap in this one. Like, did he do much here? Like, yeah, he read leverage here, but is that Brees or is that the offensive line? That is the offensive line. Let's see. We've got more big runs. Yeah, this one's Beck. Like, this is a very good play by Beck here. Taking that inside out, patient. Like, and this is what I'm saying. Like, Brees has been good, but can any, and again, there are certain plays he sets up. There's no running back in the world who's not trash. It's not going to hit this gap. Like, that's a pretty well blocked play as well. It's not like he's breaking tackles. Let's see if I'm sure there's maybe more. Hall, easy 17 yards. Let's watch this one. Like, yeah, he widens his step here and maybe avoids. There's not even a hand on him, actually. Did he do anything here? That's the design gap. He hit it. Okay, yeah, he breaks one arm tackle. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, is he that much? Like, I think he's better than an average running back, but is he that much better? Like, is he creating these yards, or is it the offensive line? It's the offensive line. So flip that. This week they were not good in pass protection. Membu was not good this week, which again, rookie lumps. Fashion was not good this week, and I've said it 1,000 times with Fashion. He needs to change his set. His hands are the same every time, and guys are anticipating it, and they're bull rushing him or taking the inside shoulder or even chopping down the outside arm, because he gets the problem. The problem with Fashion is he's good against guys just running up the arc because he gets his inside hand on the hip and just runs them up the arc. But the problem is left hand goes wide to contain, right hand goes in the hip to push up the arc, but his chest is exposed. So guys just start to time it, and they either attack the inside shoulder or they just bull rush right through him. So Fashion needs to change his pass set, or he's going to continue to play bad. That's what I said in college. I said need to change his pass sets. Go back and listen to the review. Said it last year, saying it this year. He needs to. It's an absolute necessity, or he's not going to be. He's not going to be what we want him to be. That's what I'll say. In no order, have our 5 best players this season been Folk, McNamara, Garrett, Membu, and Q? Yeah, probably. I think again, Sauce has not been elite, but I think the only other players that I would mention in that conversation are Sauce and Tippmann. would be in that conversation, like 6 and 7. But I maybe not cute, maybe not Membu. Like Membu's been good, but I don't know if he's been. He hasn't been great. I think he's been very good though. But yeah, I would say those 5 again. Sauce. I think Sauce and Tippmann have a conversation there as well. Saints almost beat Bills at Buffalo. The didn't the Pats just beat the Bills in Buffalo? Like I obviously they have the rookie quarterback, or a second-year quarterback who's better than our quarterback. They have Vrabel, but like if they can beat Buffalo, we can at least sniff Buffalo's ass. Like it's embarrassing. Like stop making excuses for this team. I'm not saying you, Eagle, but in general, like there's parity. Again, Browns beat the Packers. Saw last night, Giants beat the Eagles, but we're excusing the Jets getting beat, 30-3 in the third quarter. It's what did you expect? These guys have to be getting paid by the organization or something, or like bots that are paid for or something. I don't see a lot of it on the streams as much, but obviously Twitter is like probably half bots, right? Or whatever they say. So they're getting paid or something. Like you said, Stevens was god awful week 1, but I think he's in week 1 and 2. 2 he struggled as well. Week 3, 4, 5, he is what you've paid him to be. He's been a decent number 2 corner. $12 million is about that price. So the last 3 weeks he's not looking like an overpay. And again, the popular thing to do is just say, yeah, he's terrible, because that's 95% of Jets fans' opinion. But I'm going to be honest and say what I see, and he's been completely fine the last 3 weeks. Minus again running into Maui Noah on a blown coverage where Waller had a touchdown, but I put a little bit more on Maui Noah just based on the angles. So Stevens in the injury report, has a neck, and maybe we see Azaria Thomas, but I think at a certain point what you have to consider is taking Michael Carter when he comes back healthy, because hey, let's see if we can be like a reclamation project at safety, because he's struggling in the slot, maybe a little bit with the movement skills because of the injuries. He's still a smart player. At least he was, not this season, but he's in general a smart player. Put him back at safety, replacing Tony Adams, and see if he could be your starting safety next year. Like, because the cap implications, if you trade him, you can trade him, but they're not very good. Like, you don't save a lot of money. So if he could be a decent starting safety, then maybe you try that. You put Brownlee in the slot. Like, that's a changeup you could do to see if it works, because Tony Adams is unplayable. He's unplayable. John Harvest, Jovan Santiago. I'll be honest, I don't know who John Harvest is. Is he a coach from college? If he's a coach from college, again, I've been very transparent. I am not a college football guy at all. If the Jets' plan was to tank, they wouldn't have split Rodgers' cap hit to 2 years. So there's 2 ways of thinking about this, Rob. You can also say, I think I forget where I heard this on Twitter. I think a part of that was the fact that a lot of the like bonuses and hits for Gardner and stuff were like up front. So maybe that was the point of it. Like, hey, we're gonna break it into 2 years because we want to pay those guys, So I don't know. But yeah, in general, like you can't say, okay, we're here to win now. Sign Cisco for $10 million, sign Stevens for $12 million a year, and then say, oh, well, they're tanking from the jump, because they weren't. They're at least trying to compete. I don't think they were going for it all. And I don't think the free agency class was one that you want to go all in for anyway. But they shelled out money to people, so you can't say, oh, tank here. They didn't plan on doing this. They didn't plan on being this bad. There's no way. Sherwood sucks. I absolutely hated that signing. Yeah, one good year, like and a half. Like his appearances before that were more positive, but in general, yeah, not. They overpaid. Again, I said they paid him for what they expected him to be, not for what he was, which is what you do a little bit. So. 0-6 Jets. Let's see. If Moody didn't draft Membu and Taylor, his offense would probably be an F. His offense, like you're talking about the production of the offense. Yeah, Membu and Taylor are hits, and obviously we got to see on everybody else. But when you're not able to connect downfield, when pressure's there immediately, Arian Smith's a deep player. How is that going to work out? Azaria Thomas, your 3rd round pick, hasn't played yet. Malachi Moore is a 4th round pick who struggled. He's definitely struggled when he's come in, but you got to give more guys more time. Like you can't be like, oh my God, now we know he's blown in some coverages. He's a bust now. Like he's a 5th round pick. We got to give him some time. Let's be real. Okay. Let's hope. I'll give Brees credit on that fumble. It was a really good punch out, but still. Zane, let's hope none of our guys get stabbed. I'm not even going to start a comment next. I'll go too deep into that one. Any opinion on Jermaine being back? My opinion is, why is it not letting me scroll up here? My StreamYard froze. Okay, there we are. Million, I think it is. Jermaine being back. My opinion is he's a lot better than Clemens and everybody else, so that's a positive. And he's probably the second biggest leader on defense, him and Q. So it's a huge upgrade. You know, going from absolutely dreadful to again average plus average player is a huge upgrade. So yeah, it's huge. It's huge for the run game. Keep scrolling down. Yeah, Henry Anderson, defensive end, and then you had his wife on Twitter who would just scroll through all the tweets, you know, look up Henry Anderson and start arguing with people. Like I remember at first she's like, "Oh yeah, great job, whatever," because I put up some positive plays of him, and then eventually when he started sucking, I put up negative plays, and she like tried to come at me on Twitter. You know, do you think the Fields concussion is why the offense has been less RPO? Are you talking about RPO or read option? Because they're different. Read option, I would say maybe, but a part of the problem. So there's two problems with Fields and let's go. Well, one with RPO, one with it's kind of they kind of lump together. If you actually watch a lot of his read options this year, and I'll pull up one play. He's not been reading read option correctly. So you could say, "Oh, we want to run read option, we want to run a read option." But if you have a quarterback who doesn't know when to pull it or when to stuff it into his running back, then you can't really run read option with him. So he's been ineffective in that. And where is that play? Fields missed it back. No. Miss Davis sacked. There's so many bad. He was awful this game. Yeah, bad read option. Like he's not great at reading read option. And that's more simplified than RPO. I don't think he's a quick processor, and you have to be a quick processor in RPOs. So I don't think they want to run it because I don't think they trust Fields' mental capacity to do it. You know, now a little bit more sprinkled in, yeah, sure, but like, and you know, Fowler does a good job of like attacking the exchange point right here, but he's staying a little bit more flat here, and you know he's definitely getting to the running back. So pull this ball. Now he did a good job of attacking the exchange point, and he may even got Fields and here, but if I think he could have pulled that. And if you look at the outside right here, crack block, lead blocker, I think he could have had some room there. So there's been plenty of examples, even better than that, of him handing the ball off incorrectly or pulling it incorrectly. And then again, you also have RPOs where you have to process pretty quickly. Is the linebacker dropping? What's the coverage? It is a buzz. Like you have to read a lot of things. So I don't think he processes quick enough. I think that's part of the problem. You don't want to go back and watch Chris Hogan, Barrios, and Frank Gore. Hey, better than this team. Well, I'm talking about defensively. Sherwood needs to be benched, and he wears a C patch. And I think he also wears the green dot right now too. So you have a guy who is absolutely lost in coverage, who can't not blow his own coverages, and he's leading the defense. But the problem is, who else does it? Like you can have a safety do it. Sometimes I've seen it happen with safeties. It's usually a linebacker, but Tony Adams, no. Cisco, no. Now we know, no. So they need a smart leader on their second level. Did you ever see this effort under Saleh from Rob D? Yeah, I saw a lack of effort. I don't think I've seen it this early into the season. I can't really. I'm trying to think if I saw like there was some lack of effort, but I'm gonna say no. 5 weeks in, 3-3, and you're lacking effort is embarrassing. So not to this level at the minimum. Hard to be positive. Yeah, I don't know what I'm supposed to say. Like, why are we going to win in London? If I came on here and was saying, why are we going to win in London, and this is why I have faith, then I'd be disingenuous, and I'd probably lose at least 25% of you, I think, realistically. Depressing, absolutely. We're caught in a revolving door, rinse, wash, repeat. When's the last time we had a leader? Rex. The problem, like the thing with being a leader is like you have to have results. And Rex was an excellent defensive coordinator, and the defense was number 1, number 2, number 3 in the league, whatever it was the first year. The running game was great. So I do think the leadership stuff is a little bit overrated. I think it's about results on the field. If you win on the field and you have good schemes and you outcoach other coaches, people will follow. It's kind of my opinion. Okay, let's see. Last time we had a year like this, Let's Talk Direct Radio was doing Gase interviews with. Yeah, I know. I'm actually I text Tyson. I talk to Tyson not often, but relatively often. And bye week, I'll be on his channel. So I'm supposed to actually be doing this tonight with him. I was going to go on a show at like 9:00 or whatever, but he was like, Friday night, like nobody's going to watch. I was like, okay, all right, whatever. It is what it is. So it's the only time I had. So bye week, I'm gonna link up with Tyson. So go to his channel, at least in the bye week, and watch that, if not now. Okay, let's see. I'm keep going through chats. I'm still half an hour behind, plus half an hour. Brees only hasn't had a rush. Over 25. Yeah, I think he lost explosion. I think he looks more explosive than last year. But he's not Brees of rookie year. Brees, there's no way. Family man, Henry Anderson, Michael Clemens, no doubt, dude, no doubt. Give me who was the dude from the Panthers who got all the pass deflections that one year? Coney Ely? Is that his name? Coney Ely. Give me Coney Ely over him. Jets. Coney Ely. Yeah, that's his name. Pass deflections. Let's see if he had actual numbers on it. The dude passed. He got 4 passes defended. And 4 passes defended in one game against the Jaguars. Coney Ely throwback. Eagle, which Connor show is NY Flight Jets Talk? I always get confused, Connor. Do not take it personally. I always forget if it's NY Jets Flight Talk or NY Flight Jets Talk, but whichever one, I think it's NY Flight Jets Talk. That's the one I was just on for like 40 minutes. So if you want to go check him out now hopefully after, but nonetheless, throw a like there, subscribe, all that stuff again. One of the most well put together 14-year-old I've ever met. You know, they're not firing Glenn until the end of the season. If only the quirky offensive coach we hired worked out. Yeah, right. Adam Gase. But after all the issues he had with Miami on the field and off the field, to go back and hire him is embarrassing. Still the real AD. Didn't we see the Detroit turn around from an 0-10 start? So 2 points to this. 1, yes. That's why I'm not saying fire him now, right? I said give him the season. Okay, so that's 1 point. Second point is that team was much less talented than this team. Go back and look up the rosters and tell me they had much talent. So, yeah, and again, I didn't watch that season individually. Were they getting embarrassed like this every week? Probably not. Were 4 of their first 5 games absolute blowouts? Probably. Let's see. And again, it's because the problem with what I'm doing right now is because like the Jets game with the Bucs was close, you know. So that was a blowout in my mind. It wasn't very close, but let's see. They were. Let's see how they started that year. They lost to the Bears by 4. They lost to the Packers by 21. Was it in 20? No, it wasn't in 2020. What am I thinking? What year did he got? He got hired in 2021 because he got hired the same year as Saleh. Am I mistaken? Let's see, 2021. Fuck it. I don't care. Point is, yes, I'm not saying fire him now, so I get it. And 2, that team was not as good. But go back and look at the games. I don't know if it was as bad as it was. And if it was, even if the team wasn't as talented. Chrono Kenny, can they fire him now? Like the problem is what do you do? Who are you promoting to interim? You got to give him more than 5 weeks. So what happens? And again, there's no signs to point to this, so I'm not confident in it. But what happens if they go out and win 5-6 games and start being competitive? Like there's really no point of firing him because who are you going to have as interim? So it's too early. You give him the season. I said it. Sherwood got a lot of tackles playing alongside Mosley and Quincy. Yeah, but when he came in reserve, you know, his first year, he was actually solid. And then he got more playing time. And the more playing time he got, he looked worse. Compare this defense to the 2021 defense. Right now, no. But yeah, in general, this defense has more talent. That team didn't have Sauce and some other players, you know? So, okay. The real, yeah, that's a problem too. Like Glenn watching these guys, what did he see? And again, I'll defend the Stevens signing, and I'm probably the only one to ever do that. I think he had confidence in his ability to coach out flaws, because if you could just make Stevens find the ball better, which is not an easy ask, but if you just singularly made him find the ball better and know when to play the ball or know when to play through the hands of the receiver's eyes, he would be a very solid corner too. it's a fatal flaw, but I think he signed him because he thought he could fix that fatal flaw. Cisco, I have no defense for, because Cisco, I said it right from the jump. Even Stevens, I thought was an overpay, but if you just get him to find the ball, he's a good player. Like, look at the pass deflection he had this week, had a pass deflection last week against Waddle. When guys are in front of him, he's good. The problem is once the ball is in the air, he does not know when to look back for the ball or play through the hands. And there's technical things that I discussed in his review that you could do, that you could fix on him. I would tell him, like, strictly, if the receiver is looking back for the ball for over 5 yards, so if he's running from the 30 to the 35 and he's looking back for the ball and you didn't already turn around to look back for the ball, play through the hands, because he's beat so many times where the receiver's looking back for, at a certain point, you have to expect the ball, right? So if he's looking back for the ball 10, 15, 20 yards, the ball is going to be there. And then Stevens turns around to look for it, and then the ball is coming over his head. So he has to just play. If every vertical ball, play through the hands, don't ever look back for the ball, he would be a solid player. So, that's how I'll defend that. He has good movement skills. They like big corners. He plays right side. Sauce plays left side. I understood the signing. Again, I'm not going to go back on what I said. I understood it. Not that I would necessarily do it, but I understood it at least. Cisco, I watched. I'm like, wow, because he's just as bad of a tackler, if not worse, than Whitehead. And Whitehead was gross. McDonald and JJ, who are you keeping? This is a very hard conversation, honestly, because you want to, and McDonald the last 2 weeks has been making more plays in the run game. So that's the positive. And if you're going to take, and you have McDonald, who has a very high ceiling as a pass rusher, and you pay pass rushers over run defenders, right? JJ is more well-rounded, but doesn't have the ceiling that McDonald does as a pass rusher. But JJ is one of the biggest leaders on the team, but he's also been injured a lot. So it's a very, very hard conversation to have. Not to be a fence sitter, I would say sign them both, because you have the cap space to sign them both. Gun to my head, I think people may think I'm a little bit crazy for this, but McDonald, because you want the guy who has a ceiling of realistically high teen sacks. Like, he can get it based on the athleticism if guys can actually cover, and obviously he needs to improve as well. JJ is a okay pass rusher and a very good run defender. A lot of his sacks are based on effort. But the thing that really concerns me about that is JJ's a great leader. So as long as JJ is reasonable with his contract demands, you sign them both. As a first-year coach, did Glenn or the Jets hire the best assistant they could find? I don't think so. I don't think so. What do you think of the fans who are all turning on Sauce? Now, Sauce hasn't been top 5 corner, top 10 corner in the NFL this year. Has he still been a good number one? Yes. If you watch the Pickens play, he got pushed off clearly twice on that play, which they didn't call, of course, because we're never going to get calls like that. If I could, I'll show you too if I have to. Where is that one? Okay, and you had a cover 3. You had cover 3 where he was supposed to be. You had Tony Adams who was supposed to be over the top. So you had cover 3 supposed to be over the top, and he bites down. Okay, and then Sauce, if you look at it, and I show it in the review, and I expand the screen a little bit, but look at the push off here. He's affected. Push off, and he's tracking the ball here again. It's a little bit small of a screen for me to see, but there's a push off right there at the end by like the 5-yard line. No call. So it's OPI. He got beat in an OPI, fine. He got beat by a Waller on an OPI. Again, he has to be less lazy with his feet. Again, when your feet, I don't know if I said this show or Connors, and I've been saying it a couple of times now, but he plays too high and he doesn't play with a good enough base. When you don't play with a good enough base and you're high, you tend to overreact to movements. When you overreact to movements, you're off balance. When you're off balance, you tend to grab, and you don't want punches like this as a corner. You want punches to the chest and stuff. So he grabbed Waller instead of having a better base and getting a hand in a spot that's actually going to affect him. With that being said, did Waller push off in that play with 2 hands? Yes, he did. So he's been good, not great. But with that being said, he's being paid to be great. So I wouldn't be out on Sauce. Like, trade him for a second round. Like, people are crazy. People are crazy with the Sauce hate. And he's been much more physical in the run game. He has to step up in bigger spots though. The touchdown was bad. The play that was worse was him getting beat on 3rd and 7 by a slant, because he played outside leverage when he should have been playing inside leverage. Or at least not played soft shoe. There was a was it Tony Adams or Cisco, who looks like they might have been using like a wall technique, which is just like you're like pressing on scrimmage. Typically, you open up anything within 5 yards, you basically like hockey check him or take him. And he might have been depending on that because of how it opened up, but he still can't play outside leverage and soft shoe like he did. So, yeah, David, I put up a play of him. He turns like a boat, dude. He's so unathletic. It's crazy. Relatively, right? People are like, oh my God, you're calling him unathletic relative to his peers, right? Preface that for the stupid YouTube commenters going to say that. What good experienced coaches are even out there, though? Are we banking on one of them getting fired? Yeah, Stefanski. Obviously, there's been some rumors about Harbaugh. I would trade for Harbaugh if it really came down to it. Not a first because it'd be the first overall pick, but I would trade a good amount for Harbaugh. Yeah, Stefanski, if he gets fired, there will be guys out there. But again, you can't just, okay, well, nothing's out there. Let's just run with what we've been running with. Like there'll be guys. Flores might be out there, or he'll still be out there. I'm sure he, Brooklyn guy, he would want the job. I'm not as high on McCarthy, but like even at that point, like if it's this bad. Oh, my bad, Marvin. I didn't see this until now. My fault. 93 today that Wilkes was dumped after 1 year. Yeah, 100%. And 1 year after his first head coaching job. That is a factual stat. Fantasy is the most misleading. Yeah, that's the problem with arguing with just fantasy football people is how good guys are. Yeah, Danny Dimes is the top 5 quarterback in the league. Justin Fields is top 10 quarterback in the league. There are guys like you can get like Stafford. You can get like Stafford as a bench player right now, like probably from the waiver wire, and he's a top 10 quarterback. Art, what's up, Art? What's good, Joe? Haven't caught a live stream in a while. Thanks for remembering. Remaining real through all the Jets. Yeah, of course, dude. 100%. It was nice to meet you a few years ago, Art. Even though it was after, I think it was after the game, and they got blown out. It's like nobody was in good mood. I believe. At least I'm assuming. Maybe it's just because the Jets always lose. But yeah, nice to see you a few years ago, Art. And I hadn't seen you in a while, but welcome back. Clowney had 2-3 flags in the game last year, Sunday versus the Jets. Clowney had 2-3 flags in the game last Sunday versus the Jets. Where's the disconnect here, Eagle? You're talking about Fowler? Still better than Clemens. Like you can get 5 penalties and still be better than Clemens. Fields isn't the solution, but he also isn't the biggest problem with his team. That's what I said. He's not the problem. He's not the solution. He's playing like a high end backup, which he's a bottom 5 starter who at times looks solid because of the athleticism, but he's not consistent enough with his post or pre to post snap reads and even his accuracy at times. Stares at the one for too long, doesn't come off of the one quick enough. He's not the problem. He's definitely not the solution. Like I'm not going to ride it out with Fields. Now, obviously, with the contract, you might draft a quarterback and then, roll with Fields for 8, 10, 11, 12 games while the rookie sits like they should do. Sit him for the whole freaking season for all I care. I just want to work out. Like I'll sit the rookie for 3 years if you guarantee me he works out in 2029. I really don't care. So he's gonna be here next year, but he's not the answer, dude. He's way too inconsistent. This game he was terrible. The Bills game he was terrible. Steelers game was probably the best game of his career, and he was still like a B+ that game. I'm gonna say an A+. And then the Dolphins game, I think he was bad in the Dolphins game. He wasn't bad. He was average, a little bit below average in that game. The Jerry Jones flip, I had no idea. I had no idea where Jerry Jones was. And he was probably, I was in the third level. So he wasn't above me unless he was in a fucking blimp, so no. The thought of just minding your own business and hearing some guy losing his mind over 2-point conversion somewhere near you as a player, dude, yeah, I screamed. Like nobody, but I'm telling you, light grenade, that nobody was making noise like at all. It was dead quiet. There was a little bit of class. It was like, I don't want to do it again because I'm going to feel like an asshole. Like, yeah, here we go. Like, let's go. The Jets are back in the game. Stop the 2-point. I'm losing it, screaming as loud as I possibly could about them, just basically false cheering them on. Like just being so sarcastic about cheering them on. I lost it. So yeah, if you were anywhere near somebody who lost on 2-point conversion, that was me. You might have heard me from a section away. Like that's how loud I was yelling because there was rows of people who turned around and looked at me like, what is this? What is wrong with this guy? So. Your quarterback who's supposed to ooze confidence, who does feel like, who does look like he inspires? He couldn't inspire free for. The funny thing is Sherwood too. Like Sherwood, some of his pregame speeches, like he's so like monotone and stuff. Sherwood wouldn't pump me up too. Like I said, my grandma would pump me up more than Sherwood. And really, again, like I'll be honest here. If he won games, he'd be inspired. Like there's been quarterbacks who were Joe Burrow is and he gets fiery and stuff, but he's more of a relaxed guy. Like he wins game. I'm sure in the huddle and stuff he'll get more fiery, but just win games. I think the personality stuff is a little bit overrated in the NFL. Win games and people will follow him. I'm sure there's quarterbacks who have been, Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan was good for years, and he was what they call him, like icy Matt Ryan, whatever it was, like and because of the personality and also because of him in clutch moments, he was good. But there's quarterbacks. I'm sure Peyton Manning was the most rah type guy in the world. Maybe he was. Obviously, attributing characteristics to guys I actually don't know about, but in general, I don't think it matters so much. If he won, who cares? Grono Kenny Pritchett banged Glenn's daughter. That's why he's been banned. Yeah, no, I've said stuff similar to that, right? Like whose Cheerios did he piss in? Whose wife did he bang? I was gonna put that on Twitter, but I have to be semi-respectful because I'm not being this guy or whatever. But like the Jets know who we are, and they follow me on Twitter, and I don't want to be saying stuff like this player banged Glenn's wife because then we might lose our credentials, and I don't want to do that. So if you see a few vulgar tweets from me on a Sunday, because I've had a few, and you go back and I deleted them on Monday, it's probably why, because I may have crossed the line. Not that the Jets reached out or anybody from JetX told me, but I realized like it's probably not the best look if the Jets saw that. So some stuff I get rid of. That's vulgar. Like me criticizing them, I'll never take it down. But shit, like Pitchett banged Glenn's daughter. That's something I would say on Twitter at times, and I had to delete it. So let's see. The only problem with Tannenbaum, and I'm not getting into Tannenbaum. This was 2 decades ago almost, but the problem with the Tannenbaum teams is a lot of those contracts for like Bart Scott and all these guys, they're all backloaded. So I remember even though in those years, like I looked at the contract, like all the cap hits are in 2012, 13, 14. They're gonna have to get rid of a lot of guys. So they signed a lot of guys for cheap, and then it all hit them in years later. So I knew that was going to happen in those years. I'm like, they're going to suck in a few years because all of these contracts are hitting them in those few years. They're going to lose a lot of players. So that was the biggest thing. But yeah, Woody made the Tebow decision, no doubt. So there's some things you can blame him for, but let's see where we're at. Not an awful idea. He wasn't drafted as a safety. He was drafted as a corner, David, but he played safety at Duke, right? That makes sense. He was a nickel as soon as he came in. But he played some safety at Duke. So yeah, why not try it? It's even if we're grasping for straws at this point with him, why not? I meant off season when talking about Membo and okay, I got you. Blew the off season. I got you, David. I don't understand why we got Cisco from Derek the Cop. Salute. The problems we are seeing with him are, it's out there, Derek. Again, like I didn't do the short reviews at that time. Next season, I'm going to do the long reviews and the short reviews to give you guys like a real grasp of what these guys are. And just the short reviews. If you don't subscribe, obviously subscribe to see the full thing. But I said it from the jump. Like I do not like this player. And there's a lot of Jets fans who hype that up. Like 90% of Jets fans are talking about how good Cisco was. And I watch them like, nope. Same thing with Whitehead. When we got Whitehead initially, everybody, lack of a better term, cover your kids' ears, but everybody was on Whitehead's dick. And I watched him. Like, we just missed tackles. Literally the first game I watched him, the first like 2 tackles attempt he missed on Cordell Patterson against the Falcons. Yeah. And it was, it was bad. Fields kind of blows on read option. He's not been good. Very inconsistent. Shut up. Yeah. Ashton Davis. I think he's a player who's generally overrated by Jets fans, but I get the sentiment, Coney Ealy's knees basically disintegrated. He could have done something if it wasn't for that. Yeah, I like Coney Ealy. He was a solid rotational defensive end. I don't know if he would have been a starter, but a solid rotational D end, no doubt. Let's see. I'm just trying to scroll through. I'm catching up. Once I catch up, I'll probably jump. I don't think I missed anything. Fields wasn't good. Brees was fine. I think it was more of the offensive line. Garrett was great in this game. Some have been garbage time, but still a great effort at the end of the touchdown. Offensive line, individually, they all sucked. Defensive line, Q made some plays. Still want to see a little bit more. McDonald wanted to see a little bit noise as a pass rusher, hard when the ball's out immediately, but he did win a time or two, and a time or two in the run game as well. Briggs made some plays. Linebackers were gross. Safeties were gross. Stevens was fine. And Sauce minus getting pushed off and beat on third down in that one play. He was okay. Like Sauce was okay in this game. I thought the touchdown should have been an OPI, and then everybody's saying he had a good game. Again, Sans getting beat on third and 7 or whatever it was on a slant, where he needs to play that more straight up, if not inside leverage. I understand if there's the wall technique inside, but I still don't want to see him play as outside heavy as he was, because he didn't give a wall technique a chance to even get there. So they preface it with that, but I think that's it for the game. Really, I don't. Isaiah Williams, can you stop returning kicks 2 yards deep into the end zone just to get the 35, please, God? He was like literally, I think it was the first kick of the game. Was it the first or second kick of the game where he's 2 yards deep and he takes out to the 22? I'm like, I just turned the guys next to me. I'm like, we just gave up 13 yards for no reason. For absolutely no reason. We just gave them 13 yards. You're talking about getting the ball at the 35. You're talking about with kickers, especially them being able to doctor their own balls. He could, you're talking about getting 20 yards, 25 yards. Yeah, 40-yard line. Talking about like a 57-yard field goal, 25 yards. Talking about getting field goal, 2.5 first downs. Obviously, you can get it, it's not how it works, but you know what I'm saying. Joe, did you get a chance to break down the QB sneak? I've never seen a QB hesitate like that and it cost him the first down. You're talking about the on one where he changed the play apparently, and then yeah. So I didn't talk about the fact that he changed the play, because just transparently, I go through the film so quickly so I can get it to you guys by like Tuesday or Wednesday. So I don't watch the broadcast, because so you have the film, which on the film it shows you the high angle and then it shows you behind, and then high angle and then behind. So to go to broadcast, I'd have to open up 2 tabs, watch it both angles just to hear what they're saying sometimes. So sometimes I lose like the checks and stuff. I don't really hear them. I heard he did change on that play and there was an open gap. So if he would have hurried to the line maybe a little bit more and rushed it there, then we could have picked it up. But my thing with the Jets is like, why don't they voted for the tush push? Why don't they use it? And by the way, the Eagles are consistently going offsides on those. So it's been brutal to watch. But the problem with that play is, and again, I go through it in the actual review like a little bit better than this, but where is it? Like, people will critique like and I saw it on Twitter where it's like, oh, the Jets did a terrible play call. They rolled him out to his weak side. I don't love rolling him out to the weak side, but the benefit of rolling him out to his weak side is if they are going to play a side harder and they think he's going to roll out to one way, it's going to be right versus left. So it's for deception reasons. But the thing with this play that a lot of people didn't recognize is if Fashanu had any idea what he's doing, you have a linebacker here who is completely running inside with his hips turning completely inside with Beck running outside. If Beck just continued into the flat on this slide route without Fashanu getting in his way, he's easily outflanking 59. He rolls out, hits Beck, it's a first down. Fashanu blew up this entire play. So it would have actually worked, because if you're telling me right now that if he was untouched, that 59 is getting back out to him, you're on crack. You're on crack. There's no way he's getting there. So, yeah, but in terms of like getting to the line and calling it, if the gap was there, then yeah, rush it, and again, I don't know why they don't push. You have a quarterback who is minus Josh Allen and Hurts, probably the most physical quarterback in the league, and maybe even more than Hurts. I think Hurts is a little bit more stocky maybe. But you have one of the top 3 biggest quarterbacks in the league in terms of like physicality, strength, all that stuff, and you're not running a tush push. Whatever. I don't know why they voted yes for it then. If they're not going to use it, why let another team use it? Like, what do you like? Again, this is obviously not a realistic scenario, but like, oh, you get to the Super Bowl versus the Eagles and they're using the tush push on 4th and 1 and you voted yes for it, but on the opposite side, you're not going to use it again. Like, you're not going to use it. Like, what's the point? We did meet. It was the Ravens 2022. Yeah, that was a bad one. I felt a little bit bad after that game, so I remember screaming at DJ Reed after he got a pick and was celebrating, but I didn't know his dad died. Like obviously I was not privy to that information, but yeah, I remember freaking out on that one. I was like, what the fuck? Like, are you serious? Like the guys who get beat by 5 yards, but the receiver drops it, it's an overthrow and they're doing the finger wag. I felt like it was one of those, but his dad died. an hour before kickoff or whatever. So maybe we can get Corey Davis. Corey Davis was a decent number 2. He was decent. I would take him. Obviously not, now, but what he was then, yeah, sure. That level of player. Mo Lewis, not Joe Blewett. It sounds similar enough. Don't worry, man. We'll all say it was Mo Lewis, not Joe Blewett. In reference to me kicking off Brady's career. I don't know what that is. Sup, Joe in chat. Yeah. This defense hasn't been the same since JD traded JFM. That was the downfall. Blow the piece started the downfall. And like for the people, and like again, it's hard to quantify, but like for the people who say coaching doesn't matter, it triggered this in my mind. Not with JFM, but Huff leaves the Jets. The Eagles pay him a good contract, like good money contract. He gets released or whatever from the Eagles. They eat some money because he's not doing anything there. He goes back with Saleh in San Fran right now and is making plays again. So like coaching does matter. It's just hard to quantify exactly how much at times. Where's the get well game on the schedule? Panthers. Like after this Broncos game, you got Panthers, Bengals, Browns, right? Or is it Panthers, Bengals, bye week, Browns? I don't know, but I think those are the next 3 after this week. So if you don't win one of those 3, my God, win the Panthers game, or don't. I will, we'll see. Okay. Agree with what you said about McCarthy. He gets a lot of hate, but he's a guy who could definitely get a team in the right direction. I think he's generally overrated a little bit, but he can get it in the right direction. It's just you might win 9-10 games in the regular season and consistently get first-round exits in the playoffs like he's done. He got deeper with Rodgers, but I think even with Rodgers, like just the fact that he had him throughout most of his prime, if not, almost all of it. They won 1 Super Bowl with Rodgers, and how many Super Bowl appearances did they make? Were they 1 for 1 or they 1 for 2? I think they were 1 for 1, right? They never made it again, unless I'm mistaken. I don't think so. But you have Aaron Rodgers, a top 5 quarterback of all time, with some solid teams, only make the Super Bowl once. You won it, great, but I still think he underachieved with Rodgers, and with the Cowboys too. They had some great teams, and they would always be like 14-3 or 14-2 or 13-3 or 12-4, and then get bounced like immediately. So I think he's a little bit of an underachiever in terms of playoffs, but he's at least respected and can get it turned in the right direction at the minimum. And we could be respectable. Like, yeah, the goal is obviously for the Jets to win a Super Bowl, but you tell me right now, hey, McCarthy comes for 5 years and the Jets are anywhere between 9-8 to 12-5 for 5 years, but they only win 1 playoff game. Sign me up. Like, I'll just take some wins at this point. My God, such a defeatist attitude, but I just want fun football to talk about and watch, In reference to you mentioning you didn't want to say too much because you didn't want to. Oh, got you. I got you. Thank you. We had Broncos, Panthers, Bengals, Browns, and then it's bye week after Browns. Is it bye week after Browns, Eagle? I think that's right. And then it's like you have like the Pats, the Saints, the Dolphins. Like it lightens up. Where they get well game for other teams, yeah, for every team. Like people assume we could beat the Panthers, which we could, but the Panthers also blew out the Falcons. We haven't gotten close to blowing out anybody. Again, 4 out of 5 games have been blown out in. So, okay, end of the chat. Ran through questions for an hour and 50 minutes. I appreciate you guys as always. I'll be back next week. Hopefully it'll be better. Hopefully I could talk about some positive football. Don't have a lot of confidence, but I'll be back next week. Jake Asman show on Tuesday, breaking down some film. You'll have my short review, the long review. Pay $3 a month. You can hear about me bitch about the Jets for an hour and a half, but you see the plays. I break them down. You can really understand what's going on. It's just bad, but you could really see the intricacies of why it's so bad. JorB31 on Twitter, put up a ton of plays there. I appreciate you guys. And